Today, team, we are going to be going through lat raises. Now, this is probably one of the most commonly done wrong exercises, commonly butchered, let's say, for a number of reasons. So I'm going to go through how to do it properly, or in my opinion, what the common mistakes are, how to know if you're doing it right or wrong, how to actually feel it in your shoulders, and more importantly, in your lats as well. So there's a couple of little things we can do on this, but mainly how to just do it the right way so you can maximize the movement and so you know why you're doing it. So anyway, I'm Tom. I'm going to be showing you what we're doing today, and let's get into this. Okay, so a lat raise, normally done with dumbbells. I say normally, like 99% of the time. As long as you can do them with two separate things, or a single arm is, you know, with a band or with something just with one arm, it's going to be a split thing. So a lat raise you wouldn't ever be able to do with a barbell because you can't split them apart. Okay, so that's the first thing. What we commonly see with lat raises, I think for me when I'm starting off coaching people, and what you might see in gyms when people are just trying to throw weights around, is a lot of swinging motions. Again, that's quite a common thing to see. So I'm going to break it down with just how I would like to see a lat raise to start with, and I'm going to do it with two dumbbells, and I'm going to keep it as dumbbells today, and I can potentially show you a banded one as well. But I'm going to stick with dumbbells just to make it nice and simple. So I've got a couple of dumbbells here, ready to go. Now, with a lat raise, there's a few things to think about. You've got your body position with where your body needs to be. You've got your arm position with where your arms need to be. And then the last one is feet position, okay? So I'll start with feet position first, just because I think I'd rather just get that. Let's work from bottom to top. So with your feet, I like to go about hip width. That's as wide as you need to go. You can maybe go a bit wider, but the wider you go with your legs, basically so say if you went out there, your arms stop there. Whereas if you come here, so you notice the difference, I've got the gap now, I can come slightly closer. Now it's not essential, but I'd rather you be able to start the movement without bouncing them off your legs, is basically the idea. So we're starting with hip width apart. We're then going to go into body position. Now, I like to see a tiny little lean forward. So if you think of when we've done an RDL, if you've not seen that, make sure you watch my RDL video. It's back straight and a tiny little bum out. And I mean, it is tiny. It's literally there. That's all it needs to be. I'm not down here with a reverse fly when I'm out in this position. I'm not absolutely straight, chest out. I'm a slight little bit of a hinging movement there. And if you ever struggle with doing a hinge, just think of it as shutting your car door with your bum. So it's bum out. Just try this at home. Go literally next to a door and just go bang, big stick out your bum. All right. So we're starting here, back straight, tiny little nudge forwards. Now, this is then where all the mistakes normally happen. We've got to think of what a lat raise is actually doing. You're building up basically your delts, the middle part of your shoulder. We're building like kind of the bouldery shoulder. It's not actually bouldery shoulders, but you're building up this part of your shoulder. Plus, again, you've got the opportunity to build your lats up as well with that. So if you are too far forwards like this, all you're gonna do is feel it in the back of your back. So there, all right, which isn't the aim of it. We're building up this area, which is why we want to be standing up a little bit more straight to there. Now, the common mistake that we're going to start seeing is basically people starting to swing them around. So to do it properly, before I show you the mistakes in more depth, you're going to start in this position. I'm going to show you from the side. I want you to, little tip, roll your shoulders back to there. Okay, so we're in that position. And then all you're going to do is go out with your arms to about there. They're slightly further forward than fully in line with your shoulders, and it's a controlled movement down. And that's it. They're not going to bang against my legs. They're not going to fly about. So if you watch again, so start from the start, tiny little bit of bum out, roll my shoulders back. They're going to come out, slightly further forwards, and down. Now if I show you from the start, from the front even, to that position, my elbows are either in line or slightly above my wrists, okay? They're not like that. Okay, so look again. So I start it, shoulders pinned, rolled back to there. That's a really important thing to think about, because as soon as you drop your elbows, you lose all the tension in your shoulder. Okay, so if you're playing around with it and just go from here, bit of a dance, here to there, like a bit of a reverse bicep curl, you're going to lose all the feeling and all the kind of the pull and the kind of the muscle pull that we're looking for in your shoulders. So that's a little way of thinking about it. So actually a quick correction that you can do, you know, if you're standing here and kind of flapping around like a bird, like this, that's actually a cue. If I'm calling you a flapping bird, something's going wrong in training. So if you're flapping like this and you're doing your lat raises like that, just drop your wrist position to there and just feel how much harder it is. Because if you think, when you're holding a weight, the further it is away from your body, the heavier it's going to feel. You know, if I bend my arm down there, if you look, the weight is closer to my shoulder. So it's less heavy and you're getting less out of the movement. So out there, oh God, I can feel my arm shaking. I probably should have got some lighter weights. Heavier, in, less heavy. So other common mistakes, apart from the flapping bird, which is this one. You know, I've shown you correction for that. Another reason that might be is you've probably got weights that are too heavy for you. So that will be if you're someone that you might see at the gym and they're really almost powering up and going, ugh, like that. The weights are too heavy for you. You should be able to stop still, you know, dead stop, reset, and go from here with that little gap and do it properly. You know, I've got three, I'm not saying I'm a bodybuilder, I'm very strong, but I've got threes here and that's feeling hard. So you should be able to do it and stop and go each time. All right, so you shouldn't be using really weights that are very heavy when you're doing this, because especially if you're doing it properly, because of the way that the weight is away from your body. So there's that. There's the other common mistake, like I said, about leaning too far forwards. We've spoken about elbow position. The last thing is going to be speed. Now that's not a mistake, it's just a common thing that we're seeing. Especially because the lat raise is such a hard exercise and you're using heavy weights. If you're rushing it and just doing that, again, you're going to get absolutely nothing from it. All you're doing is just encouraging a swinging movement. You know, if you see here, like I'm like a chicken almost in this position. Like, you've got to bring the speed right the way down. Okay, so when you get to this point, I would almost look to do a slight pause. I mean, not as long as this, and then come down. And again, if you want to make it even harder, before you get to this point here, because if you just do this over and over, you can't feel anything. All right, and that's an interesting thing to think about. So when you're bringing your arms down, you can feel it, you can feel it, you can feel it, you can feel it, and actually there, not a lot. So if you want to make it slightly harder and hit the failure point a little bit quicker, you can go from this position to there, and again, just like so. All right, and it makes that a little bit harder. Now, if you are doing it with one arm, there's a couple of things that I would recommend you doing. One would be try and find something you can grip onto. So, you know, this pole here is a good way of doing it, just to keep your body stable, you know, because you've got nothing to counterbalance. It's the same as if you're using a band. I would try your best to find something else to hold on to. Don't forget, when you're using a single arm thing, you always need to be starting with your weakest arm first, so you can match the effort that you put through your weakest arm to your stronger arm. Another thing, if you're doing single arm and you've got nothing else to hold on to, I want you to think about it. You should be thinking about bracing your abs anyway, but if you're doing a single arm lat raise, you should even more be thinking about bracing, because you've got to try and counter. So I'm thinking strong core, roll back, brace, abs tight. Good way to think about it is by actually putting your hands on your abs to almost make you think to squeeze your abs. It's a good way of tricking your brain to knowing what part of the movement you want to feel. Now the final thing, to hit slightly more lats in here, now this is a little trick that one of my old coaches told me, so Jack, I appreciate that. Obviously I've shown you the little roll back to here. If you really want to feel it in your lats, back here, you can do an over roll where you go from here right the way back, and then in that position you're switching your lats on. When I say switching your lats on, if you think about when you do a pull-up and we did that movement where you're like sticking your chest up, you're here, roll back and squeeze down in your back. So roll back and squeeze down, and you should, if you then touch your lats, which are in here, should feel them like pretty solid. Now when we do this, and we've rolled back, switched on your lats, when you start that lat raise, like you probably won't be able to get much, won't be able to get much higher than that, but when you do that, you're gonna feel it fully actually in your lats, in there. All right, it's a little trick, good way of kind of changing the movement to feel it a little bit more. So we've gone through the common mistakes, we've gone through the things that you can do to correct it. Speed is gonna be key. Definitely using light weights is probably the most important thing to just practice controlling the movements to start it off. And the last thing is, don't be a flapping bird. I will call you out and I will laugh. Anyway, hopefully that helped, and I'll speak to you all soon.